So in all the previous videos we had discussed about three different methods of solving any given structure. So if you want to analyze the structure, you can use Stokes deflection method, moment distribution method, or Carney's method. So we have discussed all the four methods and we have solved several problems. We have analyzed several frames, beams, frames which are sway and non-sway analysis and all of that. Now what we'll do is we'll try to analyze a structure by a matrix method. So as you know, matrix is a mathematical tool from which we can solve the unknowns in any given equation, right? So I hope you all know what is matrix and how the matrix will help you solve the unknown values in any given equations, right? So you are analyzing a frame is basically finding out the unknown values. The unknowns may be of moment, forces, or displacements, which is rotation or translation. Now what we will do is by using this matrix method, we are going to solve or we are going to analyze a structure. Okay, now there are two methods through which we can use the matrix. So the two concepts from which we are going to use the matrix method is one called as flexibility method, the other one is called stiffness method. So we will be discussing about these two. Now the next two modules that you are going to face, or the next two modules that you are going to study, are basically on these two methods itself. So fourth module will be of the flexibility matrix and fifth module is of stiffness method. Okay, so using these two methods we are using the matrix to solve or to analyze any given structure. Okay, now in these two methods, which is stiffness method of matrix methods, and then we have flexibility method, which is a matrix method itself, right? So in these two methods we have another two approaches. So if I have to explain what this approach means, what if there is a structure, the structure consists of several components which are beam, column and all of those, right? So a frame is basically made up of column and beams. So if you go and analyze the translation, rotations, and if you want to understand the forces, moments and everything at any given beam, that is called as elemental approach, which is this one, where you are selecting an individual element and you are trying to analyze it. So this elemental approach you will study in the next semester, which is called as matrix method of structure analysis. There is a separate subject is there, it's an elective subject. If you choose that subject, you are going to analyze any given structure using the elemental approach. But in this semester what we are going to do is we will study based on system approach. Okay, so in system approach what we do is that we try to consider the wholesome structure. Okay, if there is any continuous beam or any frame which is non-sway or sway frame, so that entire frame is considered while resolving the analysis, while solving the solving the moments and forces, right? So in this semester we are going to discuss about system approach. In the next semester if you choose it as elective, you will go and study the elemental approach. Now it is left to you. If you want to study the matrix method of structure analysis with the elemental approach, you can choose that elective subject, so that you will get to have an insight of how the structure analysis is done using the matrix method. Okay, a very complex and very third dimensional kind of structures can be solved in matrix method. Now you try to understand the complexity of any given building in three dimensions. Right now whatever we are solving, they are in space frames which are actually in one single plane. It is a 2D frame, right? So when you go for a third dimension, then the complexity of a structural analysis will increase. In that case you have to go for matrix method. So many of the softwares which are developed are based on the matrix method of structure analysis itself, right? So many of the softwares which are developed are based on stiffness method of matrix. Okay, right? So anyhow, this is what the basics of our matrix methods. So there are two methods, one is flexibility method and stiffness method in matrix methods of structure analysis. So in individual methods like flexibility and stiffness, we have two approaches. One approach is to go for elemental approach, where individual element is used to as an analysis component, where we are trying to determine the displacements, we are trying to determine the forces, moments and everything on a element. Then we will come to the global thing. In case of system approach, we consider the wholesome structure and then we try to solve. Okay, there is we have spoken in length about all of this. Now what we'll do is we'll try to understand what is flexibility and what is stiffness. I have already explained you what is stiffness and flexibility in the earlier classes also. Now in this what we'll do is I'll try to describe you and also give you some mathematical expression from which you will be able to understand what is the flexibility and what is stiffness. So I had already explained you what is flexibility is. Flexibility is represented by its name itself, flexible. Anything that is flexible we call it as flexibility. Okay, now what is stiffness means anything that is difficult to deform, we call it as stiff element, right? Now if I take this duster or something, it is difficult to like deform it. You cannot bend it, you cannot pull it out, you cannot extend its length, or you cannot compress it, you cannot do anything, right? This element is stiff element, right? If there was a element like this, if this textbook is there, this is more flexible, as you can see. So flexibility describes how the displacement will take place, right, with minimal application of force. Now stiffness will represent if I apply a huge amount of force, but still if it doesn't deform, if it doesn't change its original state of body, then we call it as stiff, right? So now to understand this, what I have done is that I have written here in the first, displacement is equals to flexibility multiplied by P. P is representing force. Here P is representing the force, not F is representing. F is representing the flexibility, D is representing the displacement, and if for F is your flexibility. So flexibility, I have to define it like this: D by P. What is D? D is the displacement, P is the force. So displacement per unit force. Okay, now for example, I'll just give you an example like this. So if there is a cantilever beam like this, if I apply a force in this direction, it will translate. Okay, now let us call this translation as delta. Delta is nothing but your displacement. This is called as your force, right? So if I have to tell you the flexibility of this element, what I have to do, I have to take the ratio of D, which is displacement, divided by P. So F is equals to D by P. So this will give you the flexibility, how flexible any given element is. Now the point is, the force is unit force and you are trying to determine the displacement. Okay, now if you want to make it more understanding, what you can do is you can take two different flexible elements. Like for example, this textbook is there, you can take another textbook, you try to apply a load like this, you can see how much, by application of a force like this, how much deflection it will take place. Now you can take another element which is far more stiff, you can take this and you apply a force with the same magnitude, you apply a force with same magnitude, you can see that there is no displacement, or there is no translation that is taking place. So from this you can understand that you applied the same magnitude for both the elements, but the first element was flexible, but the second element, or the second material that I used was less flexible, right? So flexibility is basically displacement by force. Okay, now once you understand this, what we can do is, for any given member, for any given structure, there can be set of displacements. Okay, there can be set of displacements. They can be formulated in a matrix format. Okay, similarly all the forces that are acting on the element can be formulated in another matrix. Okay, flexibility can be also formulated in a matrix. Now I can write like this. So displacement matrix will be equals to flexibility matrix multiplied by force matrix. Okay, so this is the basis on which we are going to analyze a structure. Okay, next, going to stiffness method. In stiffness method, this is quite different compared to that. Okay, in flexibility we are trying to understand how flexible an element is. Now in this method we are trying to determine how stiff an element is. Okay, so to understand that, what I will do is, again I will say that force, let me assume that there is a force. Okay, force is equals to stiffness multiplied by displacement. Okay, right, now again the same member is there. Okay, in the same member I am applying some force. Okay, now the displacement is some delta. Okay, now here K multiplied by displacement, K multiplied by displacement, which is the stiffness, multiplied by displacement will give you force, or else K, which is stiffness, is equals to force divided by displacement. Okay, now you try to understand that stiffness explains you how much is the force to be applied for unit displacement. Like for example, if this delta is equals to 1 mm, I need to determine how much is the force to be exerted. Okay, now that is what stiffness is representing. Stiffness is representing force per unit displacement. Now similarly, going back to what flexibility said, flexibility was like this: if there is a unit force being applied, I'm applying the unit force, because of that I am trying to determine how much is the delta. Okay, so here delta is the question mark, which is displacement is a question mark. Okay, here in this case your force is a question mark, right? So you try to understand what is stiffness. Stiffness is representing force per unit displacement. If there is one unit displacement, it may be 1 mm, 1 degree or anything, how much is the force or how much is the moment to be applied, that is representing the stiffness value. Now what is flexibility is representing? Flexibility is representing the displacement. Okay, so what is the displacement that is created because of unit force being applied? This unit force may be 1 kilonewton or anything. Okay, like this. So this is what flexibility method, this is what stiffness method. So what we'll do is, first we'll go with the flexibility method, sorry, stiffness method. First we'll go for 5th module, then we'll come back to the 4th module. Okay, so let us first start discussing the stiffness method. First what we'll do is that we'll try to formulate the stiffness matrix. Okay, so I know that there are basically 3 matrices that is to be developed. First, as we know, we have to develop the force matrix, then we have to develop the stiffness matrix, then we have to develop the displacement matrix, right? So these are the 3 matrices that are to be formulated. Now first what we will do is, we will first try to understand how to develop a stiffness matrix. So once we know how to develop the stiffness matrix, then we can solve for force matrix, and once we solve stiffness and force matrix, we can solve how much is displacement matrix. Okay, I'll let you know the next part later. Okay, first let us try to understand what is stiffness matrix and how to develop a stiffness matrix. Okay, now there is a problem that is asked to you. The problem is like this: this is your continuous beam which is having 2 legs, which is 2 beams. First beam is AB, the second beam is BC. The first beam is a length of 4 meter, the second beam is a length of 6 meter. Now assuming that EI is constant, EI is representing the flexural rigidity, the flexural rigidity is constant. So if EI is constant, we need to determine the stiffness matrix for this. So the stiffness matrix is determined based on finding out the kinematic indeterminacy. So let us find out what is kinematic indeterminacy. Now in this given continuous beam, if I tell you to solve the kinematic indeterminacy, what you will do is, you will go to the individual joint A, B and C, then you will try to define what is the kinematic indeterminacy or degree of freedom. So at joint A, it is fixed joint, so that's why there is no kinematically indeterminate value. The degree of freedom here is equal to 0. Now if I go to joint B, we know that this is an internal joint, because of that there will be a rotation, so that rotation will be called as theta B. Okay, so next going to joint C, as we know this is not fixed, this is pin joint. Because of pin condition, this will undergo the rotation, so the rotation will be of theta C. So the degree of freedom is 2 here, which means the kinematic indeterminacy is equals to 2. Okay, so once we understood this, what we do is that we will assign the coordinates. Okay, so we have determined that theta B and theta C are the kinematic indeterminacy values at B and C. So what we do is that we'll assign a coordinate here. So let me call this as coordinate 1. Okay, now this I'll call it as coordinate 2. Remember this. Okay, so what we did, first we will determine what is the kinematic indeterminacy of the structure. So the kinematic indeterminacy of the structure are theta B and theta C. So at both the points we'll assign a coordinate. Okay, so this is the coordinate being applied. Now I told you what is stiffness is. Now going back to what is stiffness. Okay, going back to stiffness, what is stiffness is? Stiffness is force per unit displacement. So it means what? If there is a unit displacement that takes place, I need to determine how much is the force. Okay, so let us do one thing. We have assigned 2 coordinate system. So at first coordinate and second coordinate, we'll apply the unit displacement, which is 1 degree, 1 unit displacement. Okay, so I'll take the same beam. For the same beam, what I do is that at first coordinate, I'm going to apply the unit displacement. Okay, so the unit displacement will be like this. Okay, now when you are applying the unit displacement, like for example this is 1 unit, this is also 1 unit. Okay, now you have applied. As you can see, I have represented a positive rotation. So because of the positive rotation, I am writing it as the direction of elastic curve will be like this. Now we need to consider the far end as fixed itself when you are applying the unit rotation. Okay, right. Now if I apply unit rotation over here, what is the movement that is exerted at this point? So all of you remember this. What if I apply a movement over here, okay, and if the far end is fixed, the movement that is created here because of rotation theta A, assume that it is A end, so the force that is required to create this theta A is equal to 4 EI theta A divided by L. I hope you all remember this, right? And at the far end, how much is the moment that will get generated? It will be 2 EI theta A divided by L. We all know this, right? Now the same equation we'll use here also. Okay, so first what we'll do, 4 EI theta A divided by L is there. So as we know, the theta value is equals to 1. So theta A value should be equals to 1 here, right? So as we know, this is the unit rotation that we are applying, which is the unit rotation that is taking place, right? So the moment here will be equals to 4 EI divided by L. L is how much? 6 meter, right? So at this end it will be same. At here also it will be 2 EI divided by L, right? Now over here it will be 4 EI divided by, what is the length of the member AB? It is 4. Now how much will be the force on this side? It will be 2 EI divided by 4. Okay, I hope this is very much clear. What we did, first we determine the kinematic indices. There are two kinematic indices, theta B and theta C. Theta B and theta C. So at both the ends we have applied coordinates. So I am calling this as first coordinate, I am calling this as second coordinate. So at both first coordinate and second coordinate we will apply the unit rotations. So first what I did is I applied the unit rotation at the first coordinate and I found out how much moment that will be generated because of the unit rotation. So the moments that are generated because of unit rotation at joint B is this much. Okay, now once you solve this, the next step is to solve for second coordinate. Okay, let us go back to second coordinate. So at the second coordinate, also we are applying the unit rotation. So by applying unit rotation, the moment that is required here will be equals to 4 EI divided by 6. The length of the member is 6. Now at the far end rotation we will have 2 EI divided by. So while developing the stiffness matrix, so as you know, we have two unknowns, which is theta B and theta C. So two unknowns means what? Your stiffness matrix will be of 2 by 2 matrix. So the values of stiffness matrix will be K11, K12, K21, K22. Now let us understand what are these K11, K12, K21 and K22 values. Stiffness is representing the force that is applied per unit displacement, right? So K11 is representing if I apply a unit displacement at the first coordinate. If I am applying the unit displacement at the first coordinate, the force that is created at the first coordinate will be called as K11. Okay, right. So let us try to understand what this K11 is. Now if you see here, this is the first coordinate, this is the first coordinate. The first coordinate is at joint B. At joint B I have applied the unit rotation. Because of that there are two forces that are developed. The two forces are 4 EI by 6 and 4 EI by 4. Okay, now let us take the sum of this, which is 4 EI divided by 6 plus of 4 EI divided by 4. So this will represent you the K11. Okay, now going to K21. K21 is representing how much is the force that is created at the second coordinate because of the application of unit rotation at the first coordinate. Now see here, this is your second coordinate, joint C is your second coordinate. At second coordinate, how much is the force being or the moment that is created here? It is 2 EI by L, and this 2 EI by L is created, 2 EI by 6. So 2 EI by 6 is created because of the unit rotation at the joint B, which is 1, right? Now 2 EI divided by 6. Now similarly, this completes K11 and K21. Now we will go to K12. What is K12? K12 is representing if I apply the unit rotation at joint C, which is at the second coordinate, how much is the force that is created at the first coordinate. So this is your first coordinate. At the first coordinate, because of the unit rotation at the second coordinate, the force that is created here is 2 EI by 6. Okay, 2 EI by 6. Now going to the last term, which is K22. K22 is representing the force that is created at the second coordinate because of the unit rotation at the second coordinate. So how much is that? It is equals to 4 EI divided by 6. Okay, so this is how we develop the stiffness matrix. Okay, now what we'll do is I'll give another problem for you. You try to develop the stiffness matrix for that. Okay, then you can submit as your assignment or something. Okay, take this problem as the exercise. Okay, now this beam, this continuous beam has two spans, AB and BC. AB span is of 5 meter. Its flexural rigidity is 2 EI, and if you go for beam BC, the length of that beam BC is 4 meter and flexural rigidity is EI itself. Okay, now you try to formulate what will be the stiffness matrix for this given beam. Okay, now you also try to figure out what are the values of kinematic intimacy. So there are 2 degrees of freedom. What are the 2 degrees of freedom? I'll just write down what are the 2 coordinates you will have. The first coordinate will be of here and second coordinate will be here. Now this is your theta A and theta B. 2 kinematic intimacies are there, 2 coordinates are there. So the stiffness matrix that will be developed will be of 2 by 2 matrix itself. You try to apply the unit rotation at joint A, find out the stiffness values, then you apply the unit rotation at joint B and find out the stiffness value. And after solving this, you can comment down your solution in the comment section. Okay, thank you.